Hello and welcome to A Sister's Back. Welcome back to our podcast. I'm your girl Ropa, and with me is my co-host
Carnation.
Carnation in the building.
I'm used to saying hi, ladies, but you know what? We might have a male audience, so hi everyone.
Hi peeps.
Hi people. Yeah,
well,
hi.
Do you say hi peeps or hi people? Hi. What do you say? Hi human beings.
Hi y'all. Hi folks.
Yeah. So today's topic is close to Carnation's heart.
To a point. Actually, because of that reason, I'm actually in a good mood today because I'm
nice.
I'm way ahead of the game.
Okay.
Because I think I've prepped enough food to take me until probably Thursday when it comes to lunches. And what have you?
Oh, meal prep.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I'm way ahead of the game. I think I'm one of those people. I don't know if you're the same. I want to know what I'm eating for lunches. I don't like coming to a situation where I have to figure out, okay, what am I making when I'm hungry? I get more antsy. So really? For me, at least my lunches, I like to have them planned because I don't have time during the day when I'm working. The day. Yeah, right. So I like to know what I'm eating. So yeah, I kind of do meal prep ahead of time.
I never know what I'm eating until it's lunchtime.
Seriously?
Seriously, 100%. Unless if I have left. So how I end up having lunches for work is I had leftovers last night and I pick up those leftovers and I take them to work and that's my lunch. I never really plan for anything. I never pre-cook knowing that, okay, tomorrow, my lunches are going to be this for this week. No, it's basically just leftovers or snacks. And especially if I don't have, so I keep, now you guys are going to know my secrets. So I keep noodles, some packs of noodles at work. If I don't have leftovers that night before, or if I forget my lunch, which, a lot of times I do forget my lunch, I'll always have something to eat, like noodles or soup or something like that. So that's how I do it.
Oh, because you have your noodle stash. Oh, okay.
My noodle stash or my soup, because normally, especially in winter, I'll have that soup in a cup.
Oh yeah, I know
the
that
vegetarian one or the chicken one or the beef one, whichever one it is. And then I want to try to start getting crackers as well, so that at least I can, sometimes I have crackers, but that's me.
Oh, that's you. Yeah.
Yeah. So how
I get really, really antsy. I am wondering if our listeners have already figured out what we're going to talk about today. So
I think it's in the description.
Yeah. So today we wanted to talk about cooking. You have a group of people, I would think it's in the minority, that absolutely enjoy cooking. They love cooking. And then there's another group of people, they get by. And there's another group that actually dreads cooking. But the thing though is cooking is something that you have to do, unless maybe you have, obviously, I guess if you live with a roommate who enjoys cooking, a friend, you have a partner, or you have grown kids who like cooking. For most of us women, we have to cook regardless, right? It reminds me.
You have the money and you do skip the dishes.
You skip the dishes, or you have,
Uber Eats.
real cheddar, and you can afford to have a chef in your home, then, that's, then someone is cooking for you. But remember that wedding where we went to that wedding, it was for a friend of mine.
That retreat wedding, that was nice.
Yeah, and I remember this speech to this day where one of her bridesmaids stood up and she says, oh, so-and-so, welcome to marriage, where you're going to be cooking meals every day for the rest of your life. And, I remember that it really stuck in my mind because you never think about those things, right? But especially if you're a mother or a wife and, you're responsible for most of the cooking, it's something that you're going to do for the rest of your life. So I thought to myself, since it's something that we have to do for most of us for the rest of our life, how do we make it fun, how do you make it enjoyable? Or maybe someone might say, well, how do you make it tolerable? Right? So for me, I don't think I enjoyed cooking for the longest time. But I think how I got into it was I have a specific diet. And what I found is if I went to work without my lunches, that was game over for me because I didn't have options for things to eat. So when I started cooking, I remember my sisters would look at my food and they would go,
Wait, are you going to tell the viewers your specific diet, or are you just going to say specific diet?
I'm vegetarian. I eat fish, so I guess I'm not.
She's vegetarian or pescatarian.
Yeah, but I eat a lot of
just
fish.
so that at least if you're saying no options, because sometimes it's really hard for a vegetarian to find options out there. You know,
it is like when
really
I used to, because I've been vegetarian for a really, really long time, and I think when I started, it wasn't very popular to be vegetarian. So imagine trying to find a meal at work. And at that time, I used to work as a nurse, and I used to work on the floor, and sometimes they were 12-hour shifts. So if I didn't bring my own meals from home, that was game over, and that was a miserably long day. So I figured I had to learn how to cook, right? And I had to learn how to cook well. So then how I made it tolerable for myself was actually planning, right? So then I would say in a week, what am I planning on eating? I know it sounds boring because some people are more spontaneous, but I would say, well, what am I planning on eating this week, right? And then I would buy the appropriate ingredients, do my prep work like on Sunday for things that I can boil and freeze in bulk like beans. I would do that so that by the time the week is done, I would have made enough for the entire week. And then things like, I don't know, stuff like salads, those are easy to make. So for me, what helped me was planning ahead, deciding what I'm eating every day of the week and prepping ahead of time. Yeah. I don't know what has helped you. Are you, well, which box are you in, Robert? Are you tolerate cooking? Are you enjoy cooking? Or you absolutely detest cooking?
I don't detest cooking that much, I know. But at the same time, I think I'm half and half. There are times where I'm like, let's do this, let's cook. And then there are times where I'm like, okay, nah. But what I've noticed, okay, so I'll tell you a few things. But the first thing is, what I've noticed is that I like the lazy way of cooking.
Okay.
But delicious, right? It looks like it's been done, like I've prepared, but then the way I did it was just kind of like a lot more hands off than anything. So like, let's say, for example, I'll have like, let's say a rack of ribs or something like that, right? And it's like a rack of ribs, normally you would like cut it up and prepare it or whatever it is. So what I normally do is I'll just season it, put all the kinds of seasoning that I need, put it on a baking sheet, throw it in the oven. By the time it comes out, it tastes really, really good, but I didn't really touch it that much. You know what I mean? So that's the kind of cooking that I find as I get older. But I don't think it's because of my age. I think it's because I stay by myself. So I can afford to make a lot of shortcuts type of thing, right? But the thing that I used to love, and I think I still do, I just don't have the time for because I'm so busy nowadays, is I used to, whenever I walk into a bookstore, I collect books. I haven't read all of the books, but I collect books. So if I walk into a bookstore, I'll leave with at least one recipe book. So I've got my recipe book, I've got recipe books galore in my house. And I would look for, like, let's say every week I'll try out at least one recipe from one of the recipe books. So at least I've got one extra recipe that I have under my belt type of thing. Else, if I didn't do that, I noticed that I was just making different meals with the same variation of sauce. Like if I put, let's say if I make chicken or whatever, and I would put tomatoes, onions, and the same seasoning.
Yeah.
And if I'm doing meat, stew it, tomato, onions, and the same seasoning. So I wanted to kind of gravitate away from that and just try out different things. So recipe books, that's the thing that made it fun for me, like way more fun. I used to love cooking, but when I discovered I could make anything that I wanted, all I needed to do was just follow a recipe book, a recipe in a book that I liked. But then at the same time, I'm not.
So you know, I mean, in terms of recipe books, that's a really good idea. And I actually wanted to go back to something you mentioned earlier about lazy cooking. I think what overwhelms people sometimes is, for instance, if you say, okay, I don't enjoy cooking, but I'm going to jazz it up and, you know, do a recipe. And it used to be the same with me as well, is sometimes there's so many ingredients. It's overwhelming. You say to yourself, okay, I'm going to make, someone says, okay, I'm going to make, I don't know, for me, maybe it's tofu or whatever. Someone says, I'm going to make chicken, right? And then you get this recipe. It's supposed to be really good, but you have like 27 ingredients, right? And then you had that excitement to cook it, and maybe you bought what you thought was essential, and you realize so many other things are missing. So sometimes I think when cooking is complicated, or when recipes are complicated, you end up not having fun cooking. But what I liked was you talked about lazy cooking. And I know for me, when I look for recipes, I look for recipes that have few ingredients, right? You know, there are few ingredients. So it means that I have most of the things in my pantry. And also what I did, actually, this was a gift from a friend of mine. When she moved, she enjoys cooking, but, you know, she's a bit older, so she had to do most of the cooking in her household. So when they were moving, she didn't want to store her spices in storage. So she gave me all the spices that she had. And so now I can pretty much pull out any recipe and make it without going to the store and figure out what I need and that. Yeah, because I have so many spices. And so I think one other thing that can make cooking enjoyable is what you can do is each time you're doing your groceries, maybe you say, oh, okay, every 2 weeks or every month, pick up a spice, right? I think it's less expensive if you pick up one at a time, or places like Bulk Barn, you can get it for cheaper, or Superstore or whatever you.
Yeah.
But maybe having a collection of spices ahead of time, it makes cooking, you know, less stressful. Yeah, that's what helped me.
And the thing too is like, I like where you mentioned find a recipe that has like, you know, less ingredients, something that's like simple. And even if you get something that's like super complicated, just, you know, you can do it once a month or once every, you know, blue moon type of thing, just so at least you can get used to making different things and, you know, having fun with it. I find the complicated recipes, most of the time, it's just me trying to go like, okay, can I really make it the way that they've got it here? And I would love to try it. So when it comes out well, it's like such an accomplishment, because it's like, this is a really big recipe that you were able to, you know, actually right now I'm looking for Zumbo's cookbooks. I hear they're very intricate, you know, pastry type of books. I would love to try at least, you know, one here, one there, because I think that would be really cool. But just have fun with it, or even make it like a family event when you're doing those really crazy cook things. But there are also recipe books that have, you know, that have simple recipes that taste amazing. So yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah. And another thing in terms of recipes as well, I kind of had this idea, was it last month, is like within my own arsenal, there are some recipes that I've come up with that are not from a recipe book, right? And meals that I've made that I actually enjoy. But over time, it's either you forget or something happens. So what I've started doing now is, if I take a recipe from a recipe book and I nail it, I'm starting my own book of recipes, right? So maybe I make this like, you know, bang on, you know, mac and cheese. Then I'm actually going to print it off and have my own file, like, you know, where I put it. So that next time I'll say, okay, maybe I'm having guests. I'll say, okay, this one was a winner. and I just make it quickly because I've done it before, right?
Mhm.
And then I can say, oh, I tried this soup before, and it's, it worked really well. So sometimes,
Yeah.
get your tried and true tested recipes and start your own recipe book, right?
I agree. I have a soup that I made. It was delicious, but for the life of me, I can't remember what I put in there. I know there was
Now,
barley,
or you
but
knew
apart
that.
from
So
there was
apart from
barley and like little chunks of meat, and then after that, it's like
yeah,
I don't know. And everybody's like, "Oh, can you make that soup for us?" I'm like, I cannot.
I
It
cannot. It was a one-off, and I didn't put.
was a
I
one-off
didn't.
thing.
So another thing I think that makes cooking a chore is the time of the day that you do it. I think, as you know, as I've said to you, is come 7 p.m. It's like I get the second wind and I'm alive, right? So I'm
Yeah.
definitely an evening night person. But some
Mhm.
people are more morning people, right? And so, for instance, if you have most of your energy exactly, in the morning, and you have some extra time to spare, why don't you do like your meal prep in the morning? You can either finish it off when you come home
Mhm.
from work, or you actually cook in the morning, and then you know that when you come home, you're just chilling and having your meal and it's ready. Like, I think we're so, how do I say this? Do a chore that you find difficult at the time of the day when your spirits are the highest and your energy level is the highest.
Yeah.
Right?
Or also just to say that like when your energy is highest, or you can also find a day on a weekend
Mm-hmm.
that you're gonna, so a lot of people normally do their cleaning, their washing, their this and that on a specific day. So multitask, right? While you've got your rice in a rice cooker, and you've got your whatever in the oven baking, you're also cleaning and doing all these things or whatever. So by the time you're done, everything is already done. You don't have to like slave away waiting for everything. It's like you're not standing there monitoring it. It's just cooking while you're doing other things within the home. And that's what I do sometimes. If I decide I'm gonna meal prep or something, that's what I normally do. I will find a day when I am doing things around the house, and I will be checking in on it here and there, but I will be getting everything done. So by the time I have everything cleaned up, everything done, my food is already done. I pack away everything and I'm good to go. I've got the rest of the day.
Oh, I see. Okay, because you kind of did it in like, short bursts as you're going along with other tasks.
Yeah, I was doing it. So what I do is like I'll like, let's say if I'm making rice or cooking rice or whatever, right? So I'll wash the rice, I'll put it in the rice cooker, I put it over there, it's doing its thing while I'm cleaning, mopping, doing whatever I need to do. And then by the time it's done, I unplug the rice cooker and then finish off whatever it is that I'm doing. So normally I would have the rice cooker going, I'll have the oven baking whatever it needs to bake, and I'll set my timers. Once it's done, I come back, I put it on the counter to rest, go finish off everything else. By the time I come back, I've got a solid meal and I didn't have to do too much. At least it doesn't feel like I did too much.
It doesn't feel, yeah, that's too much. And that's too much. I'd like to touch on that one. I don't know if you entertain a lot. I mean, when I'm not, busy with work or school, I have periods where I host people. And what I've found, hosting is fun, but it can be exhausting and overwhelming because everything is relied on you to be, maybe it's just in my mind, to be perfect, or rather to go well. And so what I used to do was, I say, maybe I'm having people come on Saturday. And because I had a busy week, I didn't plan well, I would, Sunday, let's give Sunday as an example. I would end up going shopping on Sunday, prepping on Sunday, cooking on Sunday, cleaning on Sunday. And hosting it wasn't fun anymore because I was exhausted and overwhelmed. And so what I've found is when you have a big event and you're inviting people the following day, you can actually do your prep the previous day, things that, whether it's cutting of onions, if you need to marinate, if your meat and that kind of thing, do most of the prep, say on Saturday, and on Sunday, you're just cooking and your house is clean already, right? So partially prepping also takes the chore out of cooking because then you're not doing everything from scratch. You also touched on meal prep. I also got this tip online where for people who like to eat their food fresh all the time, you can actually do your little preps and have like your little baskets in the fridge. I'm thinking of my fridge right now. I wouldn't know where to put it. So what you're making
I know
I know.
your fridge is always jam-packed. You can't even put anything. It's like, what's going on?
I think I learned that from my sister, my older sister. It's like if there's a space in her fridge, something is wrong. It's always overpacked. But for me, sometimes I think it also represents my brain.
You know, it stresses me out. I didn't tell you. I didn't tell you the last time I was there. I was just like looking at everything. I'm like, where are we gonna put this stuff? I'm so stressed. I was like looking at I'm like, oh my God, where do
Hey, you open my cupboards as well, like they're jam-packed. Okay, in my defense,
and you keep buying food. This girl does not eat that much, yet she is always buying food. She has jam-packed fridge and everything. I'm just like, when do you eat this?
I know. Well, because I used to work in Northern Alberta, and there I'd go there for a month, and we had to go without food. So now I think it's just stuck in me that I have to have food all the time because it might run out.
I might run out of food. It's funny because I was looking at my fridge. I'm like, okay, I think it's time I go shopping. And I actually bought, did I tell you I bought my mini fridge, my mini freezer?
Did. Yeah.
I told you, did I tell you about me lugging it upstairs and then having to lug it back downstairs? But anyway.
Oh, yeah. I remember that story.
But I had it kind of halfway filled. And then I was like, okay, I'm good. Because for me, the reason why I would have a mini fridge is because I didn't want to have to be going to the store to go buy stuff all the time. So anything that can be frozen, I would throw it in there. So I had like frozen pizzas, turkey and chicken and whatever else in there, and beef and sausages. This guy gave me like venison sausages. But anyway, all that I spent, I think about six months without having to go to the store. The only reason I went to the store was to get like fresh veggies.
Yeah.
So that's another thing I was gonna say. So sometimes like you could cook a big batch and then portion it out, then freeze it.
Mm-hmm.
And then that way you're just gonna take out whatever you need and thaw it, and there you've got a meal without having to cook all the time.
And use it that way. Yeah, that's actually a great idea. And when you say pizza, I started thinking about pizza.
Yum, yum, yum,
I
yum.
really enjoy pizza. And so pizza, when I was dating this particular guy, there was a time when I had like a pizza themed night, right? And so we are such a multicultural society. Actually, we're a global village, right? You can get a recipe for jollof rice. You can get a recipe for cabbage rolls. So sometimes making theme nights where you say, okay, you know what, this night or this week we're doing European, right? And you try recipes with your family or with your friends.
Yeah.
It makes, it adds variety into your cooking, right? And yeah. In terms of your meal. So
yeah, totally. And I think it makes it easier.
Yeah, it definitely does. I'm just looking at my pot. It's one of my favorite pots, and I find it's my go-to pot all the time. And it's because it cooks impeccably. So one thing I think sometimes that's frustrating when you cook, or that makes cooking less enjoyable, is not having the right tools, right? Have you ever made pancakes and they stick? Right? Like it's game over. No, but it's game over. So having the right utensils, investing in a good set of pots, they don't have to be especially expensive. Whatever is within your budget, you can find a good a good set of pots or knives, or any cooking tools to make your cooking a bit better. So yeah.
I totally agree. And the thing too is like invest in at least one or two really, really good quality pots. Even if you have the two and not anything else, just invest in good quality so that it's not gonna burn your cooking, because there's some pots that one side is not too hot and the other side is hot. So now you've got like half your stuff burnt and then other half is like not burnt or whatever. You might as well just throw it out and like invest in a really good one, and that will cut your cooking time in half, and that will cut the time that you have to like, you know, monitor it in half as well.
Oh, remember that show we went to? It was at the Stampede. Remember those pots? Remember that stand where we went?
Oh, did you ever get those? I wanted
God.
those.
They were like, huh? One pot was like what? I don't remember, but it was, I went, ah.
Yeah, it was expensive, but you could tell it was worth it.
But for me, it would be cooking asparagus and broccoli. It would be, it was too much of an investment for vegetables.
They just crack an egg in there and they leave it there, and then from nowhere it's like just like, oh,
no oil required.
Do we remember that company? The name of that company?
Well, we told them we'll come back. So we
did. We told them we were going to come back, but we did get their flyers. I remember that.
I don't throw out things. It's probably in one of my bags. So if I find it, I'll let you know.
Yeah, those are good pots. And they were guaranteed. I think they had like a 10-year warranty or something like that.
And they made cooking fun, actually, come to think of it. So there's something about having the right utensils. Because even, you know, for eggs, you wouldn't need a lot of oil.
They didn't even put any oil in there.
Yeah,
they just put the egg inside and then flipped it and it was good to go.
And even the vegetables, remember, he just steamed them in their own juices.
Yeah.
Maybe I should look them up. Yeah, those pots were awesome, Robert.
Yeah.
Those
they're really good, and they were expensive.
Wow.
Yeah, I think one pot was like $200 or something like that.
Yeah, and that was a small pot, and that was a
small pot. And I think the whole set was like 1,000 something, maybe $1,500.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, expensive. Yeah.
But anyway,
expensive one.
When we find it, if anyone is interested in these amazing pots, whose name we cannot remember, hit Carnation up in the boxes there, because she might actually have it. I can tell you right now, I don't have that flyer anymore. I probably threw it out.
Yeah. I keep things. I'm pretty sure it's somewhere. Yeah.
So hopefully you guys got good tips on making things fun. And the thing too is, like, you know what, if you have kids that are coming up and that are now old enough to teach how to cook, that could be another fun way of making meals, where you can teach your kids how to hold a knife, how to be safe with it, and how to cut things, and have them help you make meals, so that way you're not, you know, doing too much. And at the same time, you're also giving them the opportunity to also learn some of these things. And that's how you learn, right? I remember when we were young, they would make like, so let's say you have like in the village there, you go visiting, and they make they put a fire to cook and all that good stuff. So they would let us have a small little fire on the side with a small little pot, and then they will only let us make tea.
Low
risk stuff. So I'm like, okay, they're watching us play around with the fire, and at the same time we're making tea that only a few people are going to drink, obviously, because it was a small pot, but it was so much fun. And you learn how to be safe with things, you know, under supervision.
Yeah.
So
teaching kids it's really important. I'm thinking of my sister, the one who comes before me. So she has a 10-year-old and the 15. No, actually it's the other way around, 11 and 16. Or 12 and 6. Anyway, she has 2 daughters, and one of them really enjoys baking. But what she does now is they actually cook on the weekend. She doesn't do any cooking, and she does it during the week, right? Because she's trained them well. And I'm not talking about just like, you know, rice and soup and chicken, like they make
proper meals,
you know, because she's instilled that passion for cooking into them because she enjoys cooking, right? And so if you make it a shared, responsibility, if it becomes a family affair, it makes it fun. And also one thing I wanted to say, I think this was a tip that I got from a friend as well, is make meals with love. It shows, it shows when you have just cooked, haphazardly, and when you've actually said, okay, you know what? I'm going to make a nice meal. It shows in how the meal, the meal turns out. So put your heart into it, or convince yourself until you feel like, okay, I'm in love with cooking.
Yeah, or just do like me, find the lazy meals, and there you go.
And then, yeah,
I'll put like I made a video, did a video on lazy cooking. So I put just like an oven Pyrex dish.
Yeah.
And then in the middle, I put chicken wings. On the sides here, I put the potatoes, and then I did the seasoning thing, whatever. I threw it in the oven, and that was a meal. Delicious. But
and
that
how was your mood when you're making that?
My mood was fine. I was just like chop, 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 and
And if anything doesn't convince you about, enjoying cooking, from a health perspective, I guess we live in a world where, sometimes something is advertised as, okay, it contains this or it doesn't contain that. But when you make your own meals, you actually know what you're putting into it.
Yeah, you know exactly what's in there.
And if you have space, like, if you have a yard, or even if you don't have a yard, I know there are community gardens where you can actually grow your own food. There's nothing as satisfying as growing your own food,
Mm-hmm.
From, garden to table, and preparing it yourself. Or even if you live where a place where you can partake in a community garden, or you can pick, freshly grown food, it makes it enjoyable as well. And it becomes a family affair, right?
Yeah, especially if you have someone who, or if you create a relationship with people who have a farm. Mm-hmm. You probably could, go out there and pick fruits or whatever, or you can even, if you know where you can go pick fruits, like you're saying, like pick your own, not fruits, but like, you know what I mean, veggies and all that good stuff, then how to, you know what you need to do. You can actually just get that, and it would be very, very, very healthy for you. Yeah,
very healthy. So so thank you, Ropa. Thank you for talking about this very
exciting topic to Carnation.
Exactly. Well, so thank you for being a good sport, and I hope we have given you some tips to make cooking more enjoyable. And as always, if you have other tips that we didn't consider that would help another person, another sister,
let us know in the comment section below.
In the comment section, we really would love to hear from you. And thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, and you guys have a great week. Talk to you guys later. Bye. Bye.